Good morning, Thor.
Good morning, Ines. How are you
Good
today?
morning. I am very well, thank you. Yeah, it's so frosty, but it's crisp and clear, and there's sort of a vague blue sky.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
sunny. Like if I pulled my curtain open,
beautiful. I can see it in your lovely room.
I would get tons of sun basically. So it's a very
And the print
nice
of the
and
Chagall, very nice.
thank you. How you been this week?
Not bad at all. Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, no, me too. So
Yeah, luckily.
what are
Yeah.
we talking about this week,
Well,
Ines?
I think coming back to what we did last week is because there have been so many changes, say, to our comfort zones. And by the feel of it, also from what I hear from other individuals, there are going to be more changes to our comfort zones. So it's not surprising, actually, that a lot of the conversations inevitably focus back on karma, not necessarily using the word karma, but through life. My gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I've had enough. You younger individuals, doesn't have to be any age group. Oh, I've had enough. I'm going to chuck it in. What's it all about? Of course, last week we ended on who and what is karma for. And I think you said something so relevant, Thor, is that what we're talking about is always how can these conversations help us now, any of us now. That is so important. We have to get through every single day, one day at a time. And sometimes that getting through one day at a time must be like scaling Mount Everest. So who is it karma for? What is actually happening? And also heard something so sad. Who is that celebrity? She lost her. She was on BBC. The baby was stillborn. Young woman, absolute young woman. No real reason, but all of these tragic sort of things. So let's talk about karma a bit. So what's happening? Why is it happening? And a lot of people even say, oh, it's a punishment from God for our sins. Well, I dispute that completely and utterly. It's not a free for all for murder and mayhem, but actually, what is it? The body, in essence, doesn't go anywhere. The body goes back into the earth. It's only ever the spirit that moves on. So let's say that there are two pathways of karma. The body goes toodaloo, and all of the essence of our life goes with our spirit. That's path number two. But the two pathways complement each other very much. Events create and stimulate our karma. Karma does not create events, meaning that, say, World War II is created by the karmic events of all of those dying, the hunger, all of the horrible things that happen. That is an event. How does that event occur, which is meant to further the karmic pattern of all of those people involved during that generation? So all guidance, therefore, is then directed towards the individuals, all of the soldiers, all the politicians, to create the events necessary, such as this bit of land belongs to me and I'm going to kill you because I think it belonged to me 5,000 years ago. And that direction is absolute. It's directed towards those individuals to create the events necessary. And this would also include any natural disasters which are directed, stimulated, and guided for the karma necessary at that time. Natural disasters such as volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, droughts, rain, all of those situations, they are still directed and given credence. This is so far out. Thor, just say something, whatever. But it is the mentality of there are individuals, many individuals that are called PowerPoints. And the power of those individuals is directed towards the creation of, let's say the natural disasters, also from outer space as well, naturally. I'm cutting it to such a fine little nut that I hope you can understand this or accept it a little bit, that the individual, let's say we're talking about a hurricane, the attitude has to become down. It has low. It's at low. You're depressed, or you don't know quite why you should be depressed. You're okay, blah, 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 blah. But those vibrations stimulate the necessity for natural disasters. Also, that would include the politicians or those individuals that are in charge, like the Ukraine. I'm not going to give way, but I'm going to come so close to your border that you're going to be really, really worried. It is a temptation. It is creating a scenario of karma for the events, whatever is going to happen. So karma is directed to the physical for it to be the spirit's karma. So there you have a war. Okay, it's peacetime. Bang, the last bullet hits you, you are dead. That's Sod's law, isn't it? So that is the karmic pattern of that personality, because it is the physical that lives the life, but only for the purpose to give spirit the opportunity to learn. Our spirit, remember, we're still talking about ourselves. We've got a body, very precious. We want the body, yes, yes, yes. But we are still the vehicle. We are doing this for our own spiritual progression. The opportunity to learn, so that we find that the larger part of the mind is being utilized for that spiritual contact, for making the karmic path become a reality within the mind of that individual. Because if it weren't, the spirit that was attached, our spirit is still us, would have to leave, as there would be no point. Now I'm coming to an area which might help individuals, and I'm talking about death cots, inexplicable. I'm talking about, my God, an accident. Where did that come from? The poor person. All of those things. We're talking about the karma, not only of us. We are in charge of our spiritual progression. It is us still at the end that's benefiting. Sometimes there is an overriding situation, such as, I'm not talking about our own mind. I'm not going to do this. Hell no, I'm not going to do this. Although the karmic pattern is, shall we say, planned and mapped out, but there is the physical mind, which is sometimes can become a barrier. And as many mystics have said, if karma is not moved forward in the time allocated, it moves away, and it will return in another form to be repeated, because it should have been completed in the first time. Now we have this variance, or this difficulty, this challenge on Earth, because the Earth's pattern, our life has been given a modicum of freedom of choice. Would you believe there are some planets that have total choice? I can only imagine it is nothing but a mess, because even with a little bit of choice, it becomes different. Oh God, which color of shoes should I have? My gosh, should I move house? Should I not move house? That's our free choice to a degree. But we also have that larger bit of the brain is contact. No, 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 no. And then you say, yes, 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 yes. So it does have to be repeated, if not, the first time. But then we come into a really interesting situation that if you do repeat it, you get a really funny feeling. But anyway, that's another time. Meditation is there to help our guidance to have a stronger meaning and understanding, which is far too less for most individuals. And again, I come back to meditation. Anyone who is accidentally tapped into the spiritual link, oh God, this isn't for me. That meditation can come in the form of the documents you need to read as part of your life. Any situation that is repetitive, something that gives you the mind concentration, can easily lead in the meditative state. Doesn't mean you're going to levitate and go, It just means that little, the larger part of your brain also open, and you can get that guidance. Yeah, good. Oh God, what a good idea. Aren't I clever? That is what we're talking about. Guides are there to give credence strength, power, and direction for our life. Because the spirit that is with you, us, it is us, at this moment is still learning the lessons or that particular lesson that we are going through. And the guide or the guides that come to you have already had that experience. Now, it doesn't mean if your guide is, say, 500 years old, things change. But trust me, fear, deprivation, anger, hunger, they remain the same. It's always the same. Loneliness, it will be the same. Our physical mind sometimes becomes so strong, so overpowering, that it can block out some of the directional force that comes our way. It's such as, let's say, trusting your instincts. It's a gut reaction. That's how guidance can be measured. And Thor, the exercises that we do, go for your first thought. No, don't think it out. What do you feel? And the reason we do those exercises for you, for that person to trust themselves. And you learn to trust yourself. And that is so important. When all the sheep, they go one direction. Madam lead sheep doesn't get the chop. It's the rest that follow get the chop. So anyway, and if the mind or that path is blocked, then the body becomes useless. And the spirit must return. We are the vehicle. We're the plastic bag. We're the paper bag. We're the McDonald's disposable. So you can actually see the importance of meditation, as the physical self can also resuscitate itself in order to strengthen the inner self to cope with the challenges that are part and parcel of our path of life. We can't get away from that. Even if you think you have everything, you don't. We don't. There's always a reason why we're here. Love is also a large part of karma, of course. And okay, love thyself as you love thy neighbor. Maybe not. Love is a big word. I love spaghetti. I like traveling. I like my friends. I like the podcast. Love the podcast. It's an easy, flippant word, isn't it? But anyway, so if we talk about the replenishment of spirits, so there we go, the barrier. Woo, bye-bye. Yeah, I'm going. Hee. Let's say, what's that film I saw repeatedly again? Ghost with Patrick Swayze. And there he is. This is the final scene. The light comes and he feels all gooey. The teardrops fall. Either he's going into heaven or he's going across the barrier. We're not quite sure. But this gooey feeling. So let's say he goes across the barrier because he's a good guy. Okay, so we're all going across that barrier. So who's left? Am I going to be alone? No, of course not. So you may have wondered, when a spirit is called across the barrier, so there'll be billions of them going, zoom, zoom, zoom. Eventually, there will be no one left on your side, will they? All alone. So when a spirit moves across the barrier, there is always a replenishment. There's always an equal number that are reinstated in all manner of ways. And this might interest some of the ladies, such as for pregnancies. The spirit cannot, let us say, attach itself around, this is a wallet, inanimate object. We cannot attach ourselves around that. A glass of water, no. It has to have an aura. Or that split second time, we can attach. All sorts of situations can bring the spirit back into the world, because if the spirit doesn't have a body, it has to return. So that's where love sort of comes in. But I didn't go into it very much because lots of times at that moment is lust. Yeah. Come on, my darling, is I gotta have you, you know, that sort of thing. So let's go away from just only love. But that's, as I said, that's where love comes from. So let us assume that total power, God, whatever, decided that his spirit, just fresh off the boat, needed to come back into spirit, into the realms of spirit immediately. Therefore, the child, that little tiny seed that has been now a life form, teeny, meeny, itty, could be lost. A cot death. Okay, it's born. That's already a cot death. Or it could be a false pregnancy. That is how it is reinstated. And sometimes if we know a little bit or the possibility of what there is, we don't come down too hard on ourselves. Oh, I shouldn't have had that extra cup of coffee. I'm not talking about a bad lifestyle, but these things happen. So therefore, there are two pathways of life, paths of karma. One for the physical, one for the spirit. The physical pathway is one of pressure, of trouble, of difficulty, and at all times, of course, a mental situation of activity. So a path is laid down for the physical side of life, but that in turn is to help the spiritual, our spiritual pathway. It's not a unknown situation. It's us. We're talking about us to achieve what is needed at this point of time and karma. The spiritual karma is an ongoing situation until such time as the barrier is reached, and in each and every time of incarnation, a little more of that karma is followed through in the sense of learning, in the sense of understanding, in the sense of experience. The guides are closer, let us say, into the physical self. That's why we're able to connect the guides there, but they're also controlled by that total power, are able to come closer to the physical and are able to get close to our own spirit. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo, you know, don't worry, go do this and whatever, to help with the physical difficulties that will ensue in life. As we mentioned, if the free will overrides our karmic path, and if that karmic path is not followed more or less in sequence, even though it comes back to it eventually, but if it does not, then that life loses all reason for being. It loses the power, it loses the need, and it would lose that reason for living actually. The spiritual pathway is then moving forward, is then not moving forward. And so sometimes there is the need to move away from the body, again, guess what? And then link with another. Okay, what does that say to you? Death. So sometimes where it is thought that there was an accident, it will, maybe, but not in all cases. So we're talking about a huge control of our life. If we don't complete, if we don't comply, if we don't move through, guess what? Spirit cannot waste anything. And there are always many opportunities given to bring back the situation, the totalness of that particular path of karma. There needs to be two pathways, because the spirit does not really need to know about the feelings of the physical. It is only the lessons, how we persevere through the difficulties, like as I said right at the beginning, our comfort zone has been shattered worldwide. The world has turned. The world has gone belly up, and now we're trying to reinstate ourselves again. It is only interested in the lessons that need to be learned and completed during that particular life. So last week when we said the chrysalis, little grub, we are grub, a little chrysalis state, and then we become a butterfly. It's a transition. And that's what we're going through. But bless you, but it's a good transition. It's a very, very good transition, a needful transition. And hopefully that when I mention about accidents, I'm not saying, oh God, what have I done wrong? Trust yourself. Go with your gut feelings. Just quiet your mind. Meditate a little bit. Call it what you like. Meditation, the word meditation sometimes a no-go zone. Or like going into a room, say, I believe in God. Oh, goodbye. Yeah. You know, just use a different word.
Yeah.
So it's positive.
It's positive.
It's very, very positive. But our spirit it's us. It's us. And in the essence, sometimes with the regressions that we've had, I think I may have mentioned this with two Bengal tigers. But the lady that went into regression, and I said, "So what did you see?" "Oh, you know," she said, "I was looking into the eyes of a Bengal tiger, and after getting closer to it, I think you know this, don't you, Thor? It was her mate. At that time, she was a Bengal tiger, and she was looking into the eyes of her lifelong mate at that time."
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. So we go on.
Yeah.
And you know, the eyes are the mirror of our soul, so they say, don't they? So even if you come back as a very different person with blue eyes or green eyes or black eyes, whatever, just look a bit deeper.
Mm.
You can still see the essence of who you are. It's just a different body, a different vehicle, a different need. That's all. But we go on.
We go on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very profound, Ines. Thank you so much. I think
You're very, very welcome.
I think it is a useful thing for people to, I suppose it is a useful thing for people to ponder, right? Because I think it gives a different perspective. Karma gives a different perspective to people's lives, right? The challenges, the ups, the downs, and everything else. It gives a different perspective of why life is the way that it is.
Exactly. I'm hoping that possibly with that food for thought, maybe when times are rough or the world, the news is always, awful. Just say, well, this is what is obviously meant to be. It's not a matter of putting your head in the sand, but by that thought, maybe just make the best of what you have, what is available to you. That's all we can do. Do what we can. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But that there are many things we cannot change. And there are many idiotic people. There's a lot of hate, this and that. Fine. It's not for us. Maybe it did come from God. Maybe it didn't come from God. But if you look after your own path of life and you do the best that you can, you feel it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. Thank you so much, Ines, for another Friday. And as always, if anyone has any questions or anything like that, just let us know and we'll get back to you. All right.
Awesome. Take care of yourself.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.